Fading elements in and out is also a common effect that you'll see in modern web pages, and jQuery provides functions for achieving this effect as well. You can fade images or other elements either completely in or out, or you can fade them to a predetermined level of opacity so that they're transparent. And you can select the speed of how fast things are faded either in or out by using strings like slow, normal, or fast, or as a millisecond duration. And you can see here in the table there's three routines that perform fading. There's the fade in, there's the fade out, and fade to. Fade in does what its name implies. It fades in all the elements that are in the matched set that a selector came back with, which is what you're calling this function on. And you can specify the speed that you want this to happen at. And there's an optional callback that will run after the effect is finished. So if you've got something that you want to happen when things are faded either in or out, you can supply a callback function, and that function will get called once the effect is done. Similarly, there's a fade out function, does the opposite of fade in, and here's fade to. And for fade to, there's a speed and callback function, but there's also the opacity level that you want the object to fade to. So anywhere between 0 and 1.0, that will be the percentage of transparency that the object will fade to. Let's jump over to the code and see how these work. So here we have the div element, and nice big blue div sitting in my document. And I've got a couple of buttons down here, and the buttons will perform various functions. So I've got fade in and fade out, and then a couple of values for fade to. So it's already faded in. Let's try fading it out. So when you fade it out, you can see it slowly disappears. Fading it in makes it slowly appear. And we can also fade it down to 30%, and we can fade it up to 100%. So let's take a look at the code and see how this works. I'm going to bring this up in my editor, and you bring it up in whatever editor you're using. You can see that there's some jQuery code there that's using the fade functions, but before we take a look at that, let's scroll down here. You can see here's the element, and here are the buttons. And I've got my various buttons for fading elements to various states. So let's scroll back up to the code. So here we are when the document is ready. We assign some event handlers, and each button gets a click handler. So for fading in, we have a fade in function and fade out. And again, I can control how fast I want these to happen. So I've got some speeds that I've specified here, but if I want something to fade out very slowly, instead of using normal, I can specify a duration like 4,000, and that will fade out after 4 seconds. And I can supply a function that will get called when it's done. And let's just write a little alert that says done fading out. And save. Let's go back out to the browser. Let's refresh. Again, the fading works. When I click fade out, it's going to very slowly fade over 4 seconds, and my callback gets called. So let's just quickly make sure that this works cross-browser like we say it does. Let's bring this up in Firefox. I'm going to open this up with Firefox. And there it is. Fading to 30%, fading to 100%, and we can fade it in. So let's fade it out. There it goes over 4 seconds. There's my alert. Let's fade it back in. That's a quick summary of the fading functions.